Okay. All right. So we got a little bit of late start because apparently they didn't want us in here. The door was locked. I don't have a key. So I'm Professor Lannis. This is Statistics 221. Why isn't it showing? Oh. Give me 1 second. Now I should show up on the screen here too, hopefully. There we go. Okay, let's try that again. Take two. So I'm Professor Lannis. This is Econ 221, Business Statistics. Hopefully, those of you on Zoom can hear me okay. If you want, you can unmute your mic and let me know, or pull the chat box up here. You're really kind if someone lets me know if the audio is loud and clear enough for you guys.
Can you turn it up a little bit more?
Well, I can't turn it up, but I can talk louder.
Yeah, that's good right there. That's good.
Okay. So this is my 6th year here. I've taught business statistics every semester, I think maybe except for one. So I've done it online. I've done a hybrid course. So it's a little bit new to me in terms of using Zoom and kind of doing separating the class up into thirds. But I've done it quite a bit, so I think should go hopefully pretty smoothly after we work out a few kinks this first week. Hopefully everyone here was able, on Zoom, was able to figure out their assigned day, right? So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have kind of different groups. As the semester goes on, I've already gotten some emails where I know some people already know there's someone who's in China who's not going to be here at all. So if you know that you don't want to show up to class, try to let me know by the end of the week. So maybe if possible, right, instead of meeting once a week, some of you can meet, start to meet twice a week on some weeks, or whatever it is. So if you know that you don't want to attend class in person, you'd rather kind of sign into Zoom. Also, as you'll kind of notice, getting here earlier today, like I said, not having the key, the Zoom wasn't up as early. But getting to Zoom a little bit early, so I don't have to kind of keep admitting you guys. That being said, I think I can turn that off. But even after my pre-class information video that I posted, Zoom, I think it was late Thursday, they finally integrated Zoom into Canvas. So now I don't have to post those links like I was saying with the meeting ID and the passcode. All we have to do is go here on Canvas. So we're in our section 5. There's a little Zoom thing over here on the left-hand side. You click Zoom. This computer isn't slow. And you've got today's meeting. I have the start end option because I'm the host, but you guys can just click on it and join right away. You don't have to put in passcodes or anything, hopefully. I think this will be a lot easier. But I had all my settings set for the old Zoom, and now I'm realizing that a couple of them I forgot, like allowing me to see even the chat thing when I'm screen sharing. I can't see it right now, so I have to exit it, screen share. I'll have all that set up for Wednesday. Hopefully I'll have figured out all those little things that I had set up prior to them integrating into Canvas. So you'll have your kind of scheduled day. If you're not scheduled to show up in person that day, you can sign on the Zoom meeting. As you've already seen, someone can unmute. You should show, I think when you all entered, it should have had your mic muted. So, as cute as it is to hear a dog barking in the background, that gets old after a couple times. But you can unmute your mic and ask questions live. You can also use this chat bar, like I said. Hopefully I can get this so I don't have to kind of keep switching off, but we can see this Zoom chat bar. So you can kind of get like an interactive experience where you can ask questions live. Also, to be completely frank, even though I am recording these and posting them on YouTube, it's a lot easier, I think, to follow along as something is happening live as opposed to trying to watch a video on YouTube. You might just start to, I don't know, shop on Amazon or something if you're doing that. So I would try, if it was me, to sign into the Zoom call and kind of watch these lectures live or show up in person on your scheduled day. I think that is going to be an optimal way to kind of approach this class, okay? But every single day after class, I will have this recorded lecture and I will post it on YouTube, all right? So if you go to YouTube, you can kind of see some of the things that I guess I've been watching lately. and you simply search Professor Lannis. I think I have in the syllabus and even on the slides, I have the actual link to the page, but it's probably just as easy to go to the YouTube and search Professor Lannis. I'm the first one that shows up. You can already see I posted a lecture from an earlier class today. I'll have to change the thumbnail. But then you'll go to kind of playlists. You'll see section 5 right here, right? You click on section 5, it'll show all the videos that I post on that playlist. They're all going to be in chronological order, right? And so in section 3 earlier today, I'm going to pause this before I hear myself talk. Notice I'll put the date on there. So you can kind of tell which recording was on which day, right? So if you somehow missed the Zoom call, you didn't wake up in time, I don't know, 2 o'clock class, hopefully you wake up in time. But they'll be up here, right? And they're going to stay up there, right? So I'm not going to like take them off of YouTube. That's why I'm using YouTube, is because on Canvas, there's certain limitations where as we got later on in the semester, I might have to start removing videos. And if we're getting close to an exam, I really wanted to. I want you to be able to go back and look. Right? So hopefully that makes sense. Let's go check the chat, make sure. Are there any questions kind of leading up in terms of when you're supposed to show up? Hopefully, like I said, I think the Zoom thing, now that's integrated into Canvas, should be really easy to figure out. Our page here, find me on YouTube pretty easily, get the Zoom link. Under files, I've already got things posted up there. So I had the seating chart, which I had pulled open earlier for you guys to kind of figure out if you couldn't. This one was a pretty easy one to tell from Excel where you should be sitting. Some of my other classes, I had like 90-degree turn or whatever. So, and if people let me know this week that they don't want to attend classes live, if they're always going to sign in via Zoom, I had someone contact me and they made sure that they could do that because they didn't want to sign a lease for the entire year. So if you are one of those individuals who know you won't be showing up in person, let me know so I can maybe try to get other people so they can show up more than just once a week. Okay? If you do that by the end of the week, that'd be great, and I could update the seating chart for the following.
I had a question.
Yep.
So are you still taking attendance or no?
No. So I mean, I am assuming that you're either showing up on the Zoom call or watching it on YouTube. I'm assuming you're doing one of those 2 things. Which one you're doing, I don't care. I mean, I care in the sense that I think some are probably more optimal than others, but as long as you do one of them and you're getting the information, that's all I'm expecting of you.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I'm making them available. Because to be completely honest, I think what's going to happen, if I'm being real, this is not going to be the setup we have for, I would say, too much longer, based off what other universities are doing. And so if we can't meet in person, the reason I want to do it this way is I can do these Zoom meetings, probably not from this classroom, but from my office, right? I'll still schedule them during our class time. So if you want to watch it live, you can, right? So that'll, be a pretty seamless transition. And then of course they'll be posted up on YouTube as well if we can't meet live. So even though we do have, a very diluted form of meeting in person right now, even if we can't meet in person at all, we have this, you can sign up on Zoom so you can get this synchronous kind of instruction if you want it, right? I'm not going to require it by like giving you attendance points or anything, but if you want that option, which I think for a lot of students is probably a better option because I think it's easier to learn live and be able to participate than just kind of watching a video, and kind of saw that play out in some of the grades last semester. That will all be available even if we can't meet in person, even in third. Yeah. Good question. So one thing I wanted to point out, if you start to pull up files here, before I get into the slides for today, let's say we look at this seating chart. It kind of looks like this. And if you did view it this way, and I mentioned this in that pre-class information video, you're like, okay, I see different names and different things, but what day is what? If you view things on Canvas and web browsers, I don't know if professors have told you this before, but like you shouldn't do that, because the problem is depending on what the file is, what Google Chrome's are real bad about it. It doesn't show you, if I download this, if I download the actual file, okay, it shows me, oh, these are different sheets, right? They were showing up kind of goofy in the web browser mode, but here I can see they're different sheets and they have names. Oh, now it makes sense. These are Monday people. These are Wednesday people. These are Friday, So always when you have files, always download the file, right? That really applies to the PowerPoints as well. A lot of times in the PowerPoints, if I include figures or anything, especially Google, I don't know why Google Chrome's so terrible at it, but if you try to view it in the web browser, it like doesn't show up. It'll be like, this is not available. But if you download the actual file, you'll be able to see it. And if you still are having that issue, not being able to see things, or it's saying like, this figure is not available, under lectures, that's why I'm always posting two. One is in the PDF. So for some people, sometimes if they can't view it in PowerPoint, Apple have a problem with this. If you don't have like the Microsoft version, you can view everything in the PDF and it's the same. It doesn't have like my what do they call them? The animations where it shows things like in sequence, but you can get all the information in that PDF if you're having issues with the PowerPoint file. Okay. But once again, if you open those, don't just view them in that web browser, download the files. Okay. All right. Let's make sure I get used to double checking on this. There's no questions in the chat. So I taught a course like this before that was hybrid, but we couldn't even hear each other. We only could use a chat box, but the chat box takes up a lot of room. But I'll try to check the chat box periodically if you don't want to speak up or like unmute your mic. And I'll usually prompt, like the way I teach in general is like, we'll be going through things, and I'm like, are there any questions? So just like if you were in person in class, on Zoom, if you have a question, usually I'll kind of give those prompts and, oh, this is a good time if I had a question to ask you. Okay? But if you just want to use the chat box, I'll try to check that periodically as well. You're going to get closer to my face every time I'm switching between the screens until I come up with a better way to do it. Okay, any questions? We're kind of jump in this more.
So, like, this whole week, are you going to be teaching like the same stuff? Like,
Yeah, so I'm not doing it like yeah, so I'm going to keep rolling. Every single class, I'm trying to mimic a regular semester as much as possible, right? Each class we're going to go through new information, right? We're not going to do kind of like these breakouts where I post videos, you watch them, then we come and meet and like go over additional problems or questions. I'm going to do it just like it's a regular semester. Like we're kind of moving through, and each class period is the next information I want to talk about. But like I said, if you really wanted to, I mean, I'm not suggesting this, but if you really wanted to, at the end of the week, you'll have all three videos. You can sit down and watch all three videos, right? I'm really trying, I guess, with some, I think, there's give and take, right? There's pros and cons. So this way, I think you can get more synchronous, kind of ask questions live feel, and I think there's a lot of benefits to that. The other way, where you watch things and then kind of meet with a third of the students each at a time, to me, it's not as beneficial. It also doesn't keep you guys on task as easily in terms of making sure you're like consistently following with the material. And so this is the way that I'm going to approach this semester. Also, it makes for really easy, as I mentioned earlier, a seamless transition if we aren't able to meet in person at all. Okay, so let's go here. I'll start kind of working through some of these slides. So typically, one thing I won't do today is I won't be using like the board. In this classroom, it probably actually wouldn't be too bad. You can probably kind of see the board. I have to get a different USB cable than the one I have, I realized earlier today, to use these, they call them Elmos, or these things up front, where you'll basically, instead of me doing work on the board, I'll be writing on a piece of paper and it will show up, if you're in Zoom, it'll show up on the screen, or if you're in person, it'll show up here on the screen as well. So instead of using the board, because this classroom, the setup isn't too bad using my left hand to use this side, but in other classrooms, the glare and everything is just terrible. So any board work I do will kind of be, you'll be seeing me writing on paper. Okay? And I won't be using it today because I'm really just talking about expectations and kind of running through the syllabus a little bit today. Okay? So hopefully at this point, I guess I probably should start with this. This is Econ 221 business stats. So hopefully you're in the right place. You got in the Zoom call. I don't think that was possible for you to get in there if you weren't in this class. But what I'll do at the beginning of every week is post a week-long length of lectures. Right? So it's one file, but it's for the whole week, right? Because I like to teach that things are a little bit fluid. So if I'm not like married to stopping on slide 25. You know, I'm not, so I can kind of, I'm never really sure how quickly we'll go through different material. And so I want to leave some flexibility in it. right? So I'll post the whole week's worth of slides that we're going to try to go through. Yeah, so the file's already up there, and we'll kind of start into them. So what do you need for this class? Really, you just need access to a PC or phone so you can get into the Zoom call if you want to, or access to a computer so you can watch the YouTube videos if you want to do that. And then we'll also be using the book, Essentials of Business Statistics, Communicating with Numbers by Yagi and Kelly. So you need the connect code for this book. You don't need the physical copy of this book. I'm not going to be assigning problems out of the book itself. I would actually suggest you probably, for most people, it's a waste of money, right? But I am going to use their online homework platform for both two things, Learn Smarts and Connect homeworks. Also, you get that Connect code. It does come with a PDF, like e-version of the book. And so you'll still have the book, you just won't have a physical copy. You really want a physical copy? Like, I know there's some people who like that, I don't know. I mean, there's some people, but not many who I'm guessing want to like go through the chapter, maybe highlight stuff, I don't know. If you want that, my suggestion is go on Chegg, or is Half-Baked still a thing? No, it was like early.
Do we still have to purchase the code for the online version?
Yeah, so you do have to purchase the Connect code for the online version. But if you want the physical copy of the book, I wouldn't buy the brand new book. I would go look for a first or second edition. It's really the same book. They've added a couple things, but it's not wildly different. And you can find it like used for like 15, 20 bucks. Right?
Okay.
You really want to do that. Okay. I've kind of already mentioned a lot of this, just in terms of how we're going to proceed with some of the more craziness this semester. But you know, a third of us will meet in person, 2/3 will be on Zoom. Here's the YouTube link, or just go to YouTube, search Professor Lannis. You can find it pretty easily. This is section 5. That'll be the playlist. Will be section 5. If you go between section 3 and 5, it'll look. I mean, it'll be different recorded lectures because it'll be one I recorded earlier in the day, but they'll probably be almost identical. We're going over very similar things. We're moving at the same, pace. The only other thing that I would say, so the lectures are somewhat, I mean, it's what we're going to be going over in class, but I will be doing a lot of additional work of things that won't show up in the slides, right? Usually it would be board work. Now it's going to be TT12 Almo work, this camera that will kind of record me writing things. Okay? The other thing I would mention is I might, well, I shouldn't say I might, I know I will post additional recordings during the semester for two things, but I will create announcements when I do so to let you know that these are YouTube videos that are now up there. I'm not expecting that you watch them. They're meant to be helpful. So the first one will be, we're going to do some work with Excel in this class. And even though we'll do examples in class, I'll probably do a standalone separate recording of a similar example and then just kind of post that on YouTube as well. So you'll have what we did in class. You'll also have this like standalone, almost like a kind of template, or as we're working through some of the Excel homeworks, kind of go back and watch this video. Okay, what did he do here? How would that look in our assignment? Kind of thing. I'll also, the additional thing I'll post there, the second thing was, as we get close to exams, I'll probably post exam reviews there. Just working through additional problems. So if you do want to have just more, see me work through more problems leading into exams, I'll post separate videos as we get closer to those as well. Okay? Any questions? All right. I'm going to mention this a little bit. I broke this up by last name, but you can find your names in the seating chart. We kind of already covered this, pretty straightforward there. Just some class and Zoom guidelines. If you do show up in class, you have to wear a mask. This is just what you have to do. And so if you forget a mask, which at this point, I mean, I don't know. I've been staying in Michigan most of the summer, and even starting when we went virtual last year, and they've been wearing masks like since everything started. So I'm used to like leaving the house and always thinking I need one. If you some reason forget one, actually we're on the second floor. The econ department will have some extras in there if you do forget them. And so if you're not wearing one, I'll have to tell you to get one from them. If you sign into Zoom, like I said, I should have it set up to where you're muted when you enter. If for some reason I don't have it set up that way that day, I made a mistake, please mute yourself. Just makes it easier. try to sign on as early as possible. One thing for this class, it'll be a little bit different. I have a class right before this. I think someone on Zoom right now tried to do this. There will be a Zoom from my previous class up there, and I didn't think that you guys could see my other sections, but I'm almost positive that some of you on Zoom right now signed into my earlier section and had to re-enter. So I would probably say, to be safe, wait till 5 minutes prior, because today what happened was my class ended at what, 1:50, and there were some questions after I let people leave from Zoom, and so at like 11:53, I think a couple of you tried to join in that one, and then I looked like I kicked you out and you had to sign back in, but it was I had to start it from a different section. So, that's, just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. And then, like I said, you can unmute your audio if you have a question. I'll usually give prompts, but I do want you to feel like if you're on Zoom, you can ask questions. You can use the chat box if that's easier for you. Some people actually, that's maybe, I don't know, or they feel like it's a little bit easier to type in a question as opposed to ask it. So whatever kind of works best for you. I threw up some important dates here. So we've got the exams, we've got add drop dates, we've got withdrawal deadlines, right? So I don't really have anything to say about the add drop or withdrawal dates, but there they are. In terms of exams, what I'm planning on doing is using Canvas for our exams. So on these dates, right, and these are a little, exam 2, we might move a little bit depending on how quickly we went through material. But I'll have the entire day open, right? So that you can sign on, and at any point on that Friday, you would take the exam, right? So once you started on Canvas, you have, say, an hour and a half, depending on which exam we're doing, once you start it to when it closes. But you can take it at any point in the day on that Friday, right? And so these are days, obviously, that we would have class. So if you want to take it during class time, you could. Or on those days, instead of class, if you can meet in person through a lot of day, you can show up, or you can sign into Zoom, and I'll do some exam review problems that day as well. Take some like last minute questions. So if you don't want to take it till a little bit later in the day, you can sign on, watch that kind of last minute questions, little meeting on that Friday, and then take it later in the day. Okay? And then the final, it'll be similar, but instead of just one day, it'll kind of span the week of finals week. I think that it should be how all your professors did it last semester, where you had multiple days to be able to take the online exam. And so that's kind of how we'll proceed with the final for this class as well. Okay. So yeah.
So these are, I don't know if the testing lab is like open or closed.
No, so these are all on campus.
Okay,
So you can take this from your home, you can take this from wherever you want.
There's no like lockdown or anything?
So there's, I can set, so on Canvas, there's like their own lockdown thing. So that'll, have that set up so it's not like you'll be able to like Google while you're on it. But even if you were, I did this last semester and grades look pretty similar. So I might write them a little bit different than I would a regular exam. Not like necessarily harder or easier, but things that I know maybe aren't as Googleable. Is that a word? And so the other thing that I'll do with these is there'll be like some short answer questions where I think this is in the syllabus a little bit more explicit, but I might expect you to upload photos or Word documents or Excel documents with your work. A lot of people, almost, I would say 90+% chose to do their work on paper and take a photo and upload it. And that also allows me to see like, these are identical. It allows me, it's more of like an in-person exam by doing that as well. Is that, yeah. Any other questions on that? Keep moving. And for those of you on Zoom, I know I need to get better. I do that. I just realized I did it. I trail off my words when I'm asking for questions. So, but I'll try to always kind of speak louder. I'm sorry if those weren't here. I'm going to be shouting. So what do you guys care about? So how are you going to be graded? So 60% of this class is going to come from the exams, which I know sounds like a lot, but I have it structured in a way which really, this is pretty beneficial for you, which is that you have 2 midterms and a final. Whatever exam you do the best on is weighted as 30% of your grade. One you do the second best on, 20%, and worst, 10%, right? So I always tell people, front load your effort in this class, the easiest exam should be the first exam. It's going to be the easiest material, right? So if I can get an A on that first exam, well, I already know that that 90, right, is going to count for 30% of my grade. And that way, if I get like a 50 and a 70 on the other two, well, that 50 is only going to get 10%, right? It's weighted a lot less. And honestly, we'll probably get a little bit better understanding of what that actually means in terms of weighting, because we'll be doing things like weighted averages eventually in this semester. I say eventually, it'll be before the first exam. And so this allows you, like, if you don't have one exam and you just had an off day or it just wasn't a good exam, it's not going to kill your grade, right? But if you do pretty well on an exam, it's actually going to help your grade out quite a bit. So this kind of structure, even though it is a large percent of the grade is exams, because I do this kind of weighting between your best and your worst, this kind of doesn't make it as crucial that you like ace every single exam, right? Or always, perform the exact same and amazing on all the exams. Homeworks will be 30% of the grade, and so we'll have 3 types: Learn Smarts, Connects, and then Excel assignments, right? So these Learn Smart assignments, first of all, just for those of you in class, or if you want in the chat, respond. How many of you guys have used like Connect or Learn Smarts in other classes? Every hand here is raised. If we look at the chat, maybe we'll see some yeses or no one's participating. So everybody's simultaneously watching Netflix right now. Those Learn Smarts, right, are super easy. I assign them I try to assign them before we cover the material in class, right? And so it's 10 to 15 minutes. It like walks you through it. You answer some questions, but it's not for whether or not you're correct. It's simply, did you do it, right? And so, this is, all right, there we go. So this should be like easy points for everybody. As long as you get on, take 10 to 15 minutes to do these Learn Smarts, you're going to get 100% in this category. Right? The Connects are more like problems that will look like things you'll see on the exam, things we've worked through in class, and they'll be graded for whether or not you get them correct. Now, the nice little feature I always kind of add on those is there's a check my work thing. So you can basically guess, and if it's not right, it tells you. And if it is right, it tells you it's correct. Now, in a stats course, that might sound like, well, you just guess. I don't even have to put any work in. Well, no, because it's numbers, right? If you want to just start guessing, like 0.111, 0.112, 0.11, right? You're not going to be able to guess the answer. You are going to have to actually do the work, but it lets you know, oh, I got the wrong answer. I must have made a mistake. Let me go back through my process and see maybe where I made that mistake at. So the Connects, as long as you put the effort into, most people, I would say, get very high scores on the Connect grade as well. And you can always ask me for help as well. And then the Excel assignments, I'll talk about those a little bit more here in just a second, but those are graded for correctness as well. Each one of these categories, these 3 types of homeworks, is 10% each, accumulating to 30% of your overall grade. I also, there you go, drop the lowest of each type. So you'll have about 5 Excel, 5 Connect, and about 6 or 7 Learn Smart. Sometimes I'll combine chapters. So like I said, I try to keep this a little bit flexible, and so I don't want to give you a hard set number, but about 6 or 7 Learn Smarts. So if you don't do one of the Learn Smarts, you get a 0. Basically, that would be the lowest one that gets dropped. Now, I would not say to just start the semester out not doing things, because once you have 1 0, well, the second 0 you get does count, right? Only the lowest of each type of homework gets dropped. So once again, if you front load your effort, do the first 4 Connect, first 4 Excel assignments, and the first 5 or 6 Learn Smarts, well, then once you get to the end of the semester, those last assignments, you don't do them and you're happy with the grade you already have from the first 4, you don't have to do it. You'll get a 0, but it gets dropped, right? And so I would kind of try to use this so that at the end of the semester, when things get really hectic and crazy, maybe you don't have to do one of the assignments if you're already happy with the grade you got in the previous one. Excuse me. And then the last part is going to be 10% online quizzes. So I would usually use iClickers in class. What I've replaced this with last semester, and I'm going to keep using, I might actually keep using it. We could meet everyone in person. Are these online quizzes? And so I'll put one up every single day after class. So as soon as we're done with class, I would post one. If you didn't watch the class on Zoom or you weren't in class live and you're going to watch it later, these will be open until the start of the next class period. Now, I would highly suggest get on and get them done today whenever you watch, or if you attend or you watch the Zoom or whenever the day you watch the YouTube, because that's when you'll have the information and it'll be easiest to go through those problems. And these aren't meant to be hard. They're meant to be fairly easy. I'll ask you questions of things that we pretty much covered in that class period, right? In fact, I'll probably even be pretty kind, and sometimes I might give you an exact question that we went through in class, because it's almost a way for me to check that you're staying consistent with watching these, right? If I give you the exact same question and you get it wrong, I'm like, well, definitely know, you would recognize this if you actually watch the video, right? Or you attend the class, you would go back to your notes, how did we do this? Or maybe I might change the numbers up a little bit, but it will be something that we literally did in class, a problem that we did just like in class, but maybe a little bit different numbers. Maybe I'll reuse some problems just to be nice. And the way I'll score these is each online quiz is worth 10 points, right? But if I say I ask you 3 questions that day, if you just get on and submit it, you're gonna get 7 out of the 10. You get 7 base points. And then for every question you get correct, you get a point. So if you get all 3 correct, you get 10 out of 10. But if you just went on there and you didn't even guess, I'll have them set up as multiple choice. So even if you go on and don't even guess an answer, you'll get 7 out of 10 for just going on and submitting it, right? And the YouTube videos will be up forever, but these online quizzes, right, will be posted after class and then closed before we start that next class, okay? Actually, what I'm probably gonna do is close it before I start my first section, which would be 11 o'clock.
Excuse me.
What?
I had a question.
Yep.
Can you go into details about Learn Smart?
Yeah, so it really is just kind of walking you through information. You can't get anything wrong. It'll ask you a question, you'll guess, it tells you if you get it right or wrong. It's more, so I'll tell you why I use Learn Smarts. I want you to have some idea of what we're going to be talking about, just so you've already seen it. You don't have to understand it. In fact, I'd be shocked if a lot of you get through the Learn Smarts understand exactly what the material is. I just want you to have an idea of what we're going to be talking about looks like. And also, to be completely honest, it's a really good way for me to give you an easy way to boost your grade, right? Like I said, everybody, as long as you go on and do those, should be getting 100% on those. It's really just taking 10, 15 minutes to walk through them. But they'll be on the same platform as Connect homework. Does that answer your question? Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Actually, I will be posting the first one after class today. And so I want you to get on and get that done by the end of the week. The due date will be the end of the day on Friday. And really, it's a way for me to also make sure you're getting registered for those Connect homeworks, right? And I'll show you the steps here in just a second of exactly how to get registered. But that first one will show up on Canvas today. You basically just click on the link, you'll get registered, take 10, 15 minutes to go through the material, and you'll have 100% in that very first Learn Smart. I always say, like anything, maybe this is too philosophical. Anything in life to me is like your production is based off 2 things, your ability and your effort, right? So your grade is performance, right? So whatever your ability is, right? If you're really, really smart, you might get a better grade, but if you put in 0 effort and you just start taking the exams, you probably won't get a grade. But a combination of your ability and effort, you might be able to get, A's in the exams. Same thing, I think, even if I'm like the dumbest person in the world, if I put in a bunch of effort, I can still do really well at things, right? Like it might take me longer to understand, but if I put a lot of effort in, my performance can be really high, right? It just might take me a little bit longer. And so the Learn Smart for me is a way where your grade is, the Learn Smart is really just effort, right? It's evening the playing field. You don't have to have any, you have to have the ability to get on a web browser. But other than that, right, it really is just effort. It's a way that part of your grade, that effort portion of your grade, can really help kind of boost your grade. That's just effort. Okay? I know that was probably way more than what anyone wanted to hear. And you won't have, no, I won't be doing the online quizzes after today's class. I don't know if I'll do one after Wednesdays. I'll see what we get through. But if I do plan after class on using it on Wednesday, I'll make sure I mention it and post an announcement as well on campus. Okay, yeah, if anyone asks questions in class, if I don't repeat them, remind me I need to start doing that because they can't hear you guys when you ask a question. Okay. And I guess if you forget to do 4 of those, or the 4 that you do the worst on, I'll actually drop those. Because we'll have a bunch of them, right? I'm going to be posting one almost after every class. So we'll have a bunch of them. But I'll drop your 4 lowest. If it happens to be 4 that you didn't do, then 4 zeros will get marked, right? Any other questions before I move on here? I'm sure I didn't forget anything else. I think that's good. Okay. So here's kind of the steps to, and I forgot to change the section, those copy and pasting slides. Here's section 5. So once you go to Canvas and you go to section 5, there will be a Learn Smart Chapter 2 icon that I'll post today. All you have to do is click on it. And honestly, I mean, here's the steps, but it really is like signing up for anything, right? If you're going to sign in, sign up for an account on Netflix or sign up for an account on YouTube, right? It walks you through it pretty easily, right? So the only really thing I want to mention here, because like I said, you're registering, buy it, excuse me. All this is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, once you kind of get on there, it's pretty easy to walk through. If you have any issues with it, email me and let me know. I haven't really had any issues with this in the past. The one issue I've had that I want to make sure you know when you sign up, use your Ball State email address. Because if you don't, I have issues kind of getting it to transfer over to Canvas. And I can do it all manually, but it's a pain for me, and you can't see your grades as quickly, right? Because I don't realize it's not transferring your specific grade, because it looks like it's transferring everyone until something, hey, I can't see my grades. Oh, you didn't use your Ball State email address, so I have to do it manually. So when you sign up here, please use your Ball State email address, okay? Oh, my meme is out of order. But the Excel assignments, I just want to say a little bit more about those. The Learn Smarts and the Connects I mentioned quite a bit about. So there'll be 5 Excel assignments. I'll do examples in class. I'll do the separate videos I mentioned as well to help you. I always want you to come ask me for help, and we'll talk about office hours here in just a second. I know you're going to hate these. Like, I know you'll hate them. Most of you will, right? The thing is, I know they're really beneficial for you. It's kind of like when your parents tell you to eat broccoli or something, right? Like, oh, do it, it's good for you. Like, I know this is good for you because you're going to be expected when you go out and get a job. Almost any job, you're going to have some ability to work with data, right? Especially if you guys are like data analytics majors and things like that. You're going to be using programs that are way harder than Excel, right? But at least Excel is going to give you a nice base so that you can learn those programs, okay? I've actually had several students reach back out to me, like in internships where like they ended up using a lot of the stuff that we did in class in their internship, or at least things that were close enough that it was easy for them to learn because they already had some understanding of other parts of Excel. I actually had a couple, like 3 or 4, I think. No, 3. There's a 4th one. Students who part of their interview or their internship or their job, the company actually gave them an Excel project they wanted them to work on, right? So I know that you guys will be using this. Like, I'm not doing this because I think it's fun. I am doing it because I think you guys need to know how to do it, right? Also, hopefully you'll see as we start using Excel, it makes life a lot easier, right? I don't want to sit with 1,000 numbers and find find the mean by adding them all up. No, Excel can do that for me in a second, right? So we're going to see how useful and powerful it is, how much time it can actually save. Okay. Yeah, so don't be afraid to come in and get help from me. I'll mention this in just a second because I got it down here. So how can you be successful? Come to class, pay attention, or zoom in, pay attention, or pay attention while you're watching the YouTube video. Whatever mode you take this class in, like, don't just do it passively. Like, you need to like actually listen and follow along with what's going on. So if you can't do that by watching a YouTube video, try to make sure that you're coming to class or zooming into class. I don't know if that's the correct verbiage, but that's what I'm saying. So do the Learn Smart, easy points, and just it helps your brain kind of be primed to learn whatever we're going to talk about. Right? Do the homework, right? This one I always say, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? The great Michael Scott. So if you turn nothing in and get a 0, that kills your grade way more than turning something half-assed in and getting a 50. A 50 is not going to destroy you. A 0 might, right? Especially if you have a couple of them. So even if you know that it's not perfect, I know this Excel assignment isn't perfectly correct, turn in whatever you have, right? If you wait a little bit too long, it's, I got to submit now. Submit whatever you have. Get as much of the Connect homework as done as you can in that last couple hours if you push it off, right? I mean, even I said 50, even a 20 or a 30 is way better than a 0, right? And once we start doing things like calculating averages, I'll start playing around with that and showing you how much, even a little bit higher than a 0 can affect, your average, and how a 0 can just really tank it, right? So just make sure you're doing the homework. Ask me for help. So the way we're going to do this is, here's my office hours. So 10 to noon on Tuesday, Thursday, 3 to 4, Monday, Wednesday. Okay. I can meet outside of these hours, but these hours I can guarantee you I'll be available to meet. Right. If you want to meet outside these hours, you can email me. If you want to meet inside these hours, still email me. I have to set up one-on-one meetings. I can't have more than one of you in my office right now. Right. So if you want to meet with me in person, one-on-one, and we both have to wear a mask, or we can set up a Zoom meeting to meet with each other, or I guess WebEx if you really want to use WebEx, we can do that as well. But I need you to email me so we can meet either Zoom or in person, so I don't have more than one person in my office, and also that I can just make it easy for me to plan my day. But if these hours don't work for you, I can meet other times as well. I just can't guarantee that I can meet Tuesday from 2 to 3. I probably can meet sometime on Tuesday, but probably just not 2 to 3. Yeah.
If we start doing in-person classes, are we still going to have?
I imagine if we stop having in-person classes, I will not be allowed to have in-person office hours. So I will probably still be here, but I would imagine if that's the mandate that comes down, it'll also be mandated that we can't do. So the question was if we go fully online, if I'll still be doing in-person office hours. And the real answer is I just don't know. Well, I'll know if that happens, whatever the university says. All right. Any other questions at this point? Oh, and then help me help you, right? I'm willing to, on the Excel assignments too. Even if you don't want to set up a time to Zoom with me, send me what you have done. And usually, if something's tripping you up, I can look at your file, give you a quick email within 5 minutes. And instead of wasting an hour, I can save you a bunch of time, because you probably have 99% of it right, and it could just be one little thing that's off, like missing a parentheses or something dumb like that. I'm always willing to kind of give you a set of eyes. Okay. I already talked about scheduling office hours. We got data sources. How much time do we have left here? All right. So I want to run through these real quick to end class. Unless there's any other questions, I'll kind of run through this side. Let's see what the chat. Any questions? All right. So we'll go through these and kind of call it a day. So one thing about this class is it's business statistics. It's not Stat 221. I don't want this to be, we have to do some computation. It's going to be some level of math, right? It's statistics. But my focus is really how do we use these statistics to interpret things and make better decisions, right? So I would call it like an applied statistics class, right? Another thing I want you to take away is, really understanding statistics, especially in today's day and age, allows you to call people on their BS, right? A lot of people will try to use stats to lie, right? What's the old saying, 80% of statistics are made up or something like that, right? So they'll try to use statistics to tell their story, right? So the first example would be if you saw someone publish, California has more teachers than Arizona, therefore California cares way more about their children's education. Well, what's the missing thing here? Well, let's say I had the actual number, right? And that California had a way higher number of teachers than Arizona. Population, right? I hope they have more teachers. There's a hell of a lot more people in California. Right? If I had one more teacher, that wouldn't mean I care more about the kids. I've got way more kids. I need way more than one more teacher than Arizona has, right? I see this a lot right now going on. So we're using the wrong statistic, right? Instead of the number of teachers, we want something like teachers per kid, or something that divides by the population, maybe. I see this a lot right now with COVID. I'll see headlines oh, this state's doing so much worse than this state. Well, there's very few states you can compare that have identical populations, right? So, if you're just telling me the number's higher, that doesn't really give me the information I need to make the conclusion that one state's doing a better job than the other, right? California and New York are definitely going to have more COVID cases than Montana, right? There's just not as many people. So, sometimes we just have the wrong stat, or people are using the wrong stat to tell their story. The other one I always want to use if we have like, so small market teams or teams that are small population cities, they don't make as much money. And so their professional sports teams don't have as much money to kind of buy good players. So here it's like, well, 6 out of 10 of the last World Series were won by a small market team. So money doesn't buy championships. Well, okay, yeah, I guess it's more than half. But why do you think they didn't say what it was out of the last 11? Well, if it was a small market team that won it in the 11th year, now you have 7 out of 11 instead of 6 out of 10. That's a better ratio. So it's probably that 11th year, a small market team didn't win. 6 out of 11 is worse than 6 out of 10. And if you go back, maybe it's only 6 out of the last 15, right? Think about whenever you see data that's censored, why did they choose the samples that they did, especially with time? Why did they choose that 10-year time block instead of looking at all 100 years? If you look at all 100 years, it definitely looks like money buys championships. Like, you can trust me, I have the data. So, you know, we got to think about why we have the sample we do. Why did they choose to censor the data where they did? This is one of my favorite examples, and I always burn it on the first day, but a study found that 90% of bar fight deaths were the individual who started the fight. Karma is a you fill in the blank, right? Well, you have a bar fight and someone dies, let's say between 2 people. Who's left? The person that didn't die. You ask them who started the fight, what do you think they're going to say? I would be very surprised if they said they started the fight that led to someone dying. That's basically admitting to manslaughter. That's probably a higher thing than manslaughter. So the fact that this isn't 100% is crazy, right? Think about where you're getting the data from, right? Who's your data source? They might have a bias, right? And then kind of the last one, higher ice cream sales are correlated with higher drowning deaths. Ice cream sales are causing people to die. Right? Well, correlations are great, right? These two things are highly correlated. But why might they be highly correlated with each other? Yeah, when it gets hot out, people swim more. They also buy more ice cream, right? It's this third thing that we're not factoring into the picture, right? That's actually causing both of these two things to go up. So correlation, even though we have statistics that tell us something about these two things, it's not the full story, right? We have to think a little bit harder about things when it comes to correlation versus causation. All right, so the last thing I want to say before I let you get out of here is another thing that when we're doing these statistics, a lot of times what we're talking about will be average effects. So whenever we say something, we'll have to speak in generalizations a little bit. For example, men on average are taller than women, right? But there's plenty of women who are taller than a lot of men, right? And vice versa. And so we're gonna have to talk about like average effects a lot of the times, and then we'll come up with more statistics that allow us to kind of identify the nuances, like how do the distributions cross, right? So a lot of these statistics will be kind of average effects, or might look like, oh, these two things are causing each other. No, we have to go a little bit further, right? But we'll kind of get into that more as we talk about different statistics. So I'll let you guys get going. I won't see you guys here in person until next Monday. Those of you on the Zoom call, I'll see some of you Wednesday, some of you Friday. Look at that Excel file. I'll update that because I know I've had some adds and drops. So that file will probably get updated later this afternoon. So make sure you check that in about an hour. All right. I'll see you guys later.